We begin the story in the mid-17th century, where we see some children hiding in a basement, terrified of something unknown that is outside their house, trying to get in. The frightened children call for their mothers as someone is attacking. Suddenly, the door opens and they all scream. Centuries later, we see a boy named Charlie who can't sleep, so he gets up and goes to the window for some fresh air. When Charlie turns around, he notices a strange shadow in the window behind the sheet, as if someone were standing there looking at him. Very scared, he goes to tell his mother, Christine, about it. However, Christine says that he must have had a nightmare and that none of this could be true. She completely ignores Charlie's concerns. Shortly after, Charlie's father, Mike, arrives home. Mike takes his son to his room and manages to get him to sleep well, but Charlie again says he saw someone outside the window. When Mike goes to check, he sees no one and tells Charlie to relax and go back to sleep. The next day is Halloween, when all the children go out in different costumes to ask for candy. Charlie made a strange drawing on his iPad, which he shows to his family members. When his mother asks about it, Charlie says he saw something outside that looked like his drawing. Mike and Christine don't take it seriously, thinking it might just be a coincidence and that Charlie may be dreaming, which is why he perceives everything as reality. Shortly after, Charlie goes out with his friends and mother to enjoy Halloween night. Charlie's father, Mike, works as a teacher at a local university and loves teaching. As Charlie and his mother are with the others, they notice a strange vulture in the sky. Although Charlie notices it, he doesn't say anything and continues narrating to his mother, but for some reason, she can't see the vulture. Mike, having finished his work, joins them for the Halloween parade. Charlie suggests they should go to the parade, but Christine says it's too late and they shouldn't go. However, Mike, without listening to Christine, takes Charlie to the huge parade full of people enjoying that night. As they enjoy the parade, the unknown vulture appears above them, following them. Charlie can see it clearly, but when he tells his father, Mike ignores him. Suddenly, Charlie sees a very dark shadow in front of him, which seems to be some unknown spirit. This shadow quickly makes Charlie disappear from sight. Mike doesn't understand where his son went, as he had been holding his hand, and now it seems like Charlie has vanished into thin air. Mike begins searching for him throughout the parade, and even asks police officers for help, but Charlie is nowhere to be found. Then a police officer suggests that he should check at home. Maybe Charlie went directly home. Terrified, Mike rushes home to look for his child. When Christine learns about this, she is also shocked. Christine is angry with Mike for not caring for Charlie and for taking him to the party despite her objections. Now their son is missing and she is upset. Christine and Mike quickly inform the police officers, who send a team to investigate. Although they have not found any clues about Charlie yet, they assure them they will find him. The couple returns home in great despair, where Christine starts crying because she loves her son dearly and now he is missing. Mike is bewildered, unable to understand where his son could have gone. He had been holding his son's hand just a moment ago, but suddenly in the next second he vanished. This entire situation has become a mystery for Mike. Missing his son, he goes to his room and looks out the window as he feels a presence outside. When Mike looks back into the room, he finds Charlie right in front of him, looking at him with a strange expression. Mike is extremely relieved and embraces his son, asking where he had been. Charlie doesn't provide much of an answer and simply says that the thing he saw is still outside the window. When Mike looks out the window at Charlie's insistence, he sees nothing. Charlie then tells Mike to look again, and this time when Mike looks out, he sees a dark shadow standing there, gradually spreading its darkness around. Mike becomes very frightened and suddenly wakes up, realizing that he was dreaming. The reality is that Charlie has been missing for over a year, and Mike frequently experiences such visions even after a year has passed. Mike has tried everything to find his son, with only 3 days remaining until Halloween night. Mike's wife left him after blaming him for Charlie's disappearance, but he is determined not to give up. Every time he went to work, he put up missing posters of his son everywhere and did everything he could to find him. As Mike was going about his day, he suddenly saw his son on a bus. Mike immediately ran after Charlie and got on the bus to find him, but he was not there. As Mike was disheartened and getting off the bus, he noticed a wall with the word "ghost" written on it. He was shocked because these were the kind of words Charlie used to mention. Mike decides to enter the building where the words were written. This building's basement is home to many homeless people who have no shelter and lack food and drink. Upon arriving, Mike begins asking everyone about the meaning of the ghost written on the wall. Suddenly, a blind beggar approaches Mike and tells him to come over as he can answer all his questions. However, Mike continues to inquire about the meaning of the words on the wall. The blind beggar takes Mike to the wall where the ghost is written repeatedly. Although the beggar doesn't provide any useful information, a dangerous shadow appears right behind Mike, resembling a malevolent spirit. However, the shadow disappears within seconds. Since the blind beggar didn't provide any information, Mike has to leave the building, but is convinced that the words are somehow related to his son's disappearance. Mike then goes to his friend named Hannah, who has been helping him with the investigation during this difficult time. Hannah is the only one supporting Mike while everyone else has distanced themselves from him. Minutes later, Mike goes to the precinct and approaches an officer named Jordan who is handling the case. When Mike asks Jordan about his son, Jordan doesn't provide much information and says the investigation is ongoing. Frustrated, Mike tells Jordan that the police are not doing their job properly, as he has personally found out that every year a child goes missing, with reports dating back 20 to 30 years. Mike feels that the police department is not taking him seriously, so he decides to take it upon himself to find his son Charlie. For now, Mike goes to his wife Christine and asks her to listen to him. However, Christine is not interested in talking to Mike, as she still believes that Charlie's death is due to Mike's negligence. But now Mike manages to convince Christine to listen to him. He shows Christine all the reports and evidence he has gathered over time. He also explains the meaning of the word ghost, written in large letters on the walls of a building that Charlie mentioned before he disappeared. Mike even tells Christine that he sometimes has visions of Charlie. However, Christine does not believe him and leaves, feeling that Mike is trying to get back together with her, which she is not interested in, as she blames Mike for losing their son. Feeling very alone and unsure of what to do, Mike continues the investigation, determined to find his son. That night, Christine is asleep in her room when she suddenly hears noises coming from downstairs. When Christine goes to investigate, she sees a scooter moving on its own and then falling over, which frightens her. She quickly runs to Mike and realizes that his claims might be true, thinking that their son might be trying to communicate with them. Now both Christine and Mike decide to start investigating the case together. Their first stop is the house of a girl named Alex, who went missing during a Halloween event a few years ago. When they arrive at Alex's house, they find Alex's father deeply distressed over his daughter's disappearance. His personal life has deteriorated and he has isolated himself from everyone and stopped going out. Mike also calls Officer Jordan to inform him that Alex, Mia, and several other children went missing on the same day as Charlie. Jordan responds that he will look into this information further. Mike then takes Christine back to her home, where she now talks to him more warmly. She even invites Mike for dinner, as it is quite late. Mike, happily enjoying dinner with his wife after such a long time, is shown having a pleasant evening. Meanwhile, Jordan is at a restaurant conducting some inquiries. He approaches the mother of Mia, the missing girl who used to work there. Jordan asks Mia's mother about the circumstances of her daughter's disappearance. Mia's mother explains that although her daughter has been missing for years, she still feels her presence and has visions of her. Jordan then asks Mia's mother about the ghost phrase mentioned by Mike. As soon as Jordan brings it up, a fire suddenly breaks out in the restaurant. The fire rapidly spreads towards Mia's mother, but Jordan quickly saves her from the flames. Back at Christine's house, where Mike is staying for dinner, the electricity goes out suddenly, plunging everything into darkness. While Mike is looking out the window, he sees 3 children standing there, their bodies covered. They are staring at him in a very strange manner. When Mike looks around the room, he notices many children standing in front of him, staring intensely with frightening faces. However, in the next moment, everything clears up and they disappear. When Christine returns, Mike explains what happened and what he experienced. For the first time, Christine believes Mike and agrees that this must be a message for them and they need to investigate further. The next day, Christine calls a paranormal expert to their home. The expert, who communicates with ghosts and spirits, checks the room, but does not notice anything unusual at first. However, when she approaches the nearby window, she suddenly sees something dark outside. A gust of wind comes through the window, causing the expert to be thrown against the wall and lifted nearly to the ceiling, as if someone were trying to strangle her. Mike and Christine are powerless against this incomprehensible scene. Consequently, the woman is killed and dark slime comes out of her face orifices, as if all her blood had been burned from the inside. Mike, unable to comprehend what has happened, immediately calls Jordan, who arrives with the police force. Although Mike has explained everything to Jordan, the lack of evidence leads Jordan to suspect Mike. However, Mike is not arrested at the moment, and everyone leaves with the expert's body to a distant location. That night, while Christine is sleeping in her room, her iPad suddenly starts displaying a drawing similar to one Charlie had made. Upon closer inspection, Christine notices that behind the strange shadow in the drawing, there is a small child who looks exactly like Charlie, indicating that Charlie is trying to communicate something. When Mike hears noises from Christine's room, he goes to check on her. He notices that Christine is behaving very strangely, and her voice has changed. Christine suddenly says, "Daddy, she is coming and will take me away." The spirit of Charlie has entered Christine's body and is trying to convey a message about who took him. Suddenly, Christine picks up a pair of scissors and starts harming herself. Mike shouts at her, causing Christine to fall unconscious. When she regains consciousness, she is bewildered and doesn't understand what she has done. However, the cuts on Christine's hands resemble an enigmatic symbol. Mike and Christine then go to see Hannah, showing her the symbol and asking what it might mean. Since Hannah is highly interested in historical matters, she begins her research. After considerable effort, Hannah finds a story related to the symbol. She explains that many years ago, during Halloween, there was a woman who practiced dark magic. The local people had burned the woman alive, and her 3 children were also killed. This entire scene was from the beginning of the story. Those children trapped in the basement and their mother being killed by the villagers. Before dying, the woman had cursed everyone, saying that on every Halloween night, she would come back and take 3 children with her. This woman and her family were Irish, and the villagers were of the Irish race who still live in a part of New York City. If Mike and Christine wanted to know more about this, they could meet with the Irish people. Determined to find their son, Mike and Christine traveled to the place where the Irish resided. The Irish members were dressed in strange costumes and were throwing peculiar dolls into the fire as part of a ritual. This ritual was meant to ward off the dangerous dark magic woman. Soon after, a doctor who was the leader of the group came to speak with them. Mike and Christine explained everything about their son Charlie, how he had disappeared, and they pleaded with the doctor to save their child. The doctor began explaining about the dangerous witch whose spirit comes every Halloween night to take 3 children with her to the underworld. The doctor believed that on Halloween night, the door to hell and the human world opened, allowing the terrifying spirit to come and take 3 children. The duration for this was fixed. The witch could only take the souls of children who had been kidnapped a year prior. This is why Charlie and several other children's spirits were trying to tell their parents that the witch was coming to take them. After hearing this, Mike and Christine felt assured they still had a chance to save their son. However, first they needed to find the portal that connects both worlds. At that moment, Mike received a call from Anna, who informed him that she had found out everything about the witch. The witch's name was Annie, and people had killed her because they believed she practiced dark magic and would cause harm to everyone. Hannah had given Mike an address where they might find the portal. Mike and Christine headed towards this address, hoping to save their child. However, the evil spirit through the vulture crashes into the vehicle, causing an accident. Then we see Anna leaving her office where she was conducting the investigation. However, the malevolent spirit of Annie suddenly appears and attacks her, unfortunately killing her as she had provided vital information. Meanwhile, Mike leaves Christine recovering and goes to the abandoned building where the writings were on the wall. Upon arriving, all the beggars had vanished, except for a blind beggar standing right in front of him. The beggar told Mike that midnight was approaching and that Annie's spirit would definitely come. Pressed for time, Mike asked the beggar how to reach the portal to the spirit world. Understanding Mike's urgency, the blind man led him to the basement and then to a bridge, saying that it was the portal Mike was searching for. He warned Mike to return before midnight, or he would be trapped there forever. Mike crossed the bridge, quickly determined to save his son. The area was filled with smoke, making it difficult for him to see anything, but he managed to cross the bridge and reached the other side. There he found many children's spirits of those whom the witch had captured and imprisoned. Mike called out to his son, and the spirits of all the children began to raise their hands, hoping for help to return home. As Mike moved among the spirits, his hand passed through others' hands, indicating the ethereal nature of the world he was in. Soon he finds his son and hugs him. As the spirits of the children knew that they couldn't return, they chose to help the ones who had a chance of going back. The older children, knowing they could not return, chose to help those with a chance. They attacked Annie's dangerous spirit, trying to prevent her from harming anyone further. Seizing this opportunity, Mike quickly took his son Mia and the other boy out of the portal. As Halloween night ended, the portal closed, and Annie's dangerous spirit would return the next Halloween. Mike brought Charlie home, where Christine was overjoyed to see their son safe and sound, although Charlie had lost his memory of the past year and only remembered the last Halloween. Mike had managed to fix everything. Christine accepted Mike back and thanked him for bringing their son home. However, the story wasn't completely over. Outside the house, the vulture from earlier was still watching Charlie and his family with a sinister gaze. Then it flew away and went to the place where Hannah's body was found, and landing on her, something possesses her, indicating that the witch might return even before next Halloween.